All right. Take a second to gather myself here. But a lot to talk about in terms of the Super Bowl yesterday. Sam Darnold is a Super Bowl champion. Could you even believe that? Sam Darnold is a Super Bowl champion. If you're watching this and you are not a New York sports fan, it probably doesn't mean much to you. It's a nice comeback story. But for us in New York, I mean, I'm not personally a Jet fan or this big Giant fan either, but it still sucks. I have Jet fans around me. I was just speaking with one of those Jet fans, and I always like to get insight from an actual fan that is a Jet fan. But I'd say my take on it is that you had a quarterback that you what was it? I think they took him second overall. I'm forgetting. It was 2018. Forgive me, but you have a quarterback that you traded to go get. That was your guy. And here we sit. How many years later? It's 8 years later, right? If my math is correct, 8 years later. And he just won a Super Bowl, and you gave up on him after 3 years. 3 years. That's all it took. And now, not only did you just decide, hey, we're giving up on Sam Darnold, you decided to bring in Zach Wilson. I don't want to make this a Jets show. Again, we are here to talk a little bit about the Super Bowl as well. But it's just very. It leaves a bad taste in your mouth. Because what could have been? This is what everyone envisioned when the Jets took Sam Darnold. He had what it took. You saw it in college. You saw it at times with the Jets. I remember I was at a Jets-Cowboys game in 2019, and Sam Darnold threw a dot to Robbie Anderson, 98-yard touchdown. And I said, this kid's the real deal. I turned to my dad and said, this kid's good. And with Adam Gase as the head coach and the whole debacle that was there in New York at the time, or the Jets specifically at that time, you just have to sit and back and laugh. You really do, because they gave up on him again after 3 years, and it was all over. 3 years, that was enough. They said, Sam, you're the problem. I don't want to talk about the Jets too much, because I talked about that in my last live stream here, where I was shitting on the Jets for throwing out different quarterbacks, and they're the problem, they're the issue. Or the Jets, meaning, are saying that these quarterbacks are the issue, when it's clearly the coaching staff, it's clearly the front office, it's clearly ownership, it's clearly culture. It's very sad. But in other words, or not in other words, but in another conversation here, we looked at the Super Bowl itself, and not just the Jets and Sam Darnold. You know, with all that being said, did Sam Darnold really play that good yesterday? Not really. Did he play good enough to get them there? Hell yeah. And that's all that matters. Did he play well enough to make them win? Yes. So that's really all that matters. Sam Darnold did enough for the Seahawks to win that football game yesterday. And now he is a Super Bowl champion. We can reiterate the fact that, everyone watched it. If you understand football, you could clearly understand that the Seahawks were just the better team. The pass rush was way too much for the Patriots to handle. Will Campbell looked like he belonged at Amazon, right? Like he said, no disrespect, but that's what we strive for here. Well, he looked like an Amazon worker yesterday. Always fun to see the Patriots lose. Again, that Seahawks defense was just way too much for them to handle. And I think everyone kind of had a sense, if you watch these two teams throughout the year, everyone kind of knew going into it that the Seahawks and the Patriots, both of them, had great defenses, and this wasn't going to be an offensive game. That turned out to be true. You'd hope it to be true because, again, if you watched, that's what was going on the whole season. again, I'm just going to pretty much reiterate what everyone else is talking about, in that the Seahawks were the better team and they deserved to win the ballgame. It was clear Drake May was not ready. He was the one seeing ghosts. If you look back at that game against New England when Darnold was with the Jets and the hot mic caught him and he said, hey man, he said to, I forgot what offensive lineman it was, but he turned to him and he said, I'm seeing ghosts out there. That's what Drake May looked like yesterday. He was coming back to the sideline, white as a ghost, looking around like, what can I do? And I see a lot of people blaming Drake May. I don't really know if I would blame him. He definitely did miss some huge throws that could have changed the game for sure. But I wouldn't fault him. He's a kid. It's his second year in the league. He's a little nervous. He's playing in the Super Bowl. That's not an excuse. I mean, Tom Brady did it. Ben Roethlisberger did it. I'm not saying that it's an excuse to be nervous that he's young. But with the pressure that he was facing, I think the next gen stats said he had like 1.8 seconds to throw the ball before he got hit, which is absurd. But that's you can't win games like that. And while he did miss some huge throws, Drake May had an excellent season. He's an excellent player, and it just didn't go their way. They were outclassed. Now, for the Patriots fans saying, we'll be back. Don't worry, we'll be back. It's okay. No, you're not going to be back. This season, I don't want to call it a fluke. They made the Super Bowl. I hate when people say that. You have to be lucky to win. That's just what it is in every sport. But to say we'll be back, they had the easiest schedule in football. Let's relax a little bit, please. I mean, seriously, this Patriots team wasn't that good. We all knew that this offense wasn't that good. We all knew that the Patriots defense carried them. I mean that's simple. Diggs was okay this year. Hunter Henry had his moments, but you were never scared of that offense. If you're the Seahawks defense specifically, if you're the Seahawks defense saying we just beat the Rams, we just beat Matthew Stafford, Devontae Adams, and Puka Nacua, and Kyron Williams. We're scared of New England. We're scared of Drake May and Stephon Diggs, who's having a baby with Cardi B. That's who I'm afraid of. No shot. So, boring Super Bowl. Unfortunately, like I said, most people kind of knew that. If you are a football fan going into this game, that this game was not going to be very fun to watch. If you are a fan of defense, I think it was fun to watch. I also think that if you expected it, you weren't as let down like I was. I'm not saying I was out of my seat. I was like, holy, it was okay. I mean, it was a Super Bowl. I'm still going to watch. But, they just didn't. The Patriots didn't do enough to win. Seahawks defense overpowered them. Darnold did enough to win. And enough to get them there. That's another thing I wanted to talk about. You can't fault a quarterback for having a good defense. It reminds me of Peyton Manning and the Denver Broncos in 2015, I believe, when they beat the Panthers. And the infamous, Cam Newton sitting on the ball. But you can't fault the quarterback. Sure, I mean, he did enough to get them there. Sam Darnold did enough to put them in the Super Bowl. And with that, did enough for them to win. He didn't turn the ball over. Yeah, he missed some throws. He didn't capitalize when they, off some turnovers or some punts. But, I mean, that's what it is. It is what it is. He didn't turn the ball over. He played good football and did enough to win the ball game. That's all you could really ask for out of a quarterback. And that's it. That's it. Sam Darnold's a Super Bowl champion. I don't have much more to say about that without repeating what everyone else is going to be talking about today. Going into the Knicks, New York Knicks are 9-1 in their last 10. 9-1. I believe it was maybe not the last time I went live. It was the time before that. The Knicks were not in a free fall. It was way too early in the season for that. I mean, it's still early in the season. We haven't even hit the All-Star break. But, it kind of felt like the Knicks were collapsing a little bit. And they were. It didn't feel like it because they were. They dropped down to like the 4th seed in the East. They're back up to the 2 seed, 9-1 in their last 10. Belt to ass against Boston a couple nights ago. And I think eventually the Knicks will overcome the 1 seed. I know they're 5 out right now behind the Pistons. And the Pistons are a good team. No doubt about that. They have built this young core. Cunningham is unstoppable. But the Knicks are a flat-out better team on paper. And while that doesn't mean much all the time, that doesn't mean that you have the better team on paper, so you deserve to be the 1 seed or you deserve to win a championship or an Eastern Conference title, whatever you want to call it. But on paper, Knicks are the better team. I think Alvarado was a good acquisition. It's not groundbreaking, of course, but it's definitely a step up from like Jordan Clarkson. I think what it does is it adds so much depth to this Knicks team to that where the problem that everyone had last year with Brunson playing 50 minutes and Cat playing 100, that's all wiped out the window. If Brunson needs a breather or he's not having his best game, you have backup point guards. I'm not saying Deuce, wasn't an answer last year, but he wasn't utilized the way he should have been. Shamet is exactly what you want off the bench, and even starting at this point. The guy's draining every shot he takes. And like I said, the Knicks can kill you from 1 to 13. They just got talent. I've been saying it preseason, during the season. I'll say it even after the season, depending on what happens. But this Knicks team has what it takes to win a championship. There's no doubt about that. They always have. They did last year. They lost to the Indiana Pacers. I don't even want to think about that. But that Knicks team had what it took. They only got better. They didn't get any worse. They only got better. So to say that they're the favorite in the East is not crazy. Like I said, bad stretch this year. Understandable. Every team goes through them. It's a long season. Just like baseball, just like hockey. It's not football here. We're not playing 16 games. Those bad stretches, they're not going to kill you if you can bounce back. But here we are, February, 9th? Knicks are 5 games back from the 1 seed. First place in their division. 2nd seed in the Eastern Conference. And only good things to come. I would like to know in the comments, I know no one's in here right now, but for anyone watching in the future, do you think that the Knicks need anything more come the trade deadline? I'm sorry, not come the trade deadline. Come the offseason. Do you think that there's anything more if they fall short? That is. I shouldn't speak too far ahead. Because it leads me into my question of if this Knicks team doesn't do it and they don't win the Eastern Conference, which in my opinion, like I said, they most certainly should. There's not many teams standing in their way. But if this Knicks team were to not win the Eastern Conference, is their window closing? Like, is this their only shot? I genuinely would like to know from all you diehard Knicks fans out there. Because I don't know if the window would necessarily be closed because they're still young enough to keep this pretty much same exact team. But if you don't win this season with the new coach, with your acquisitions, like I said, everyone's locked up. OG's locked up. Cat's locked up. Brunson's locked up. Bridges is locked up. This is the team. So Do you trade for Giannis? We can go into that garbage all day long. But it's just too much. I guess I'm jumping ahead too much. We really have to see how the season plays out because there is so much at stake for the Knicks. This is probably the most important season they've had in franchise history, in my opinion, because there is so much at stake and there is so much to prove and there is so much expectation where there hasn't been in the past. Where that Melo team in 2013, I believe it was, not to say that they were bad, but I didn't think that they were expected to do that well. I didn't think that they had the expectation. You had Bron in Miami, you had the Celtics, so they got past, but those years were different. I don't remember a time ever where the Knicks have been favorites to win the Eastern Conference, even though they might not be on, but I don't know the odds. I don't like to look at that stuff, but they're expected to do big things this year. And that's always scary with any New York team outside of the Yankees because they're all terrible in the end. We haven't won a championship. We are on a championship drought for quite a while here. Next topic before I yap too much, because I tend to do that. Pitchers and catchers report tomorrow. And I, for one, if you couldn't tell, could not be more excited. Baseball is my favorite sport. It is America's pastime. It is the most interesting to watch. And I guess we can do finally, a Yankees-Mets preview. I mean, maybe the Mets aren't done. Maybe the Yankees aren't done. Maybe they make a sneaky trade for I don't know who at this point. There's really no one left to trade for or to sign. I mean, Gallen's out there, but that's about it. A bunch of guys just came off the board today. Nick Martinez, Marcell Ozuna. So that's pretty much, that'll be it for the offseason, unless something shocking happens. So let's look into these Mets and Yankees teams. Yankees are essentially running it back. I've seen some people complain about that. I've seen some people be okay with that. If you're talking to me, which if you're listening to this, you are. But if you're talking to me about it, I'd say it's not a bad thing that the Yankees are running it back. They had the number one offense in baseball last year. Bringing back old shit was definitely questionable. Will he mentor Ben Rice at first base? Are you really going to pay him to mentor Ben? I mean, maybe, but I mean, at that point, I don't know. Is he really going to play much? Like, he had a 600 OPS from June on? Like, I don't know. That was probably the most questionable move they've made this year. So, Yankees are essentially running it back. I don't think it's the worst thing in the world. They're getting Garrett Cole back, so anytime you're running it back and you're getting a top 5 pitcher in the league back in your rotation who didn't even throw one inning for you last year, that's never a bad thing. Do I see the Yankees as a legitimate World Series contender? No bias aside here. I don't. And I'll tell you why. I think that they're favorites in the AL. I think that they are legit, real contenders in the AL. But for me personally, if we are talking World Series champions, that means that if they make the World Series, they're going to beat whoever's in it from the National League. That being Dodgers or Phillies or Mets or Braves or, whatever team you want to say. I don't see it. I don't even think that they're the best team in the American League. I don't think that the Yankees are bad. Of course not. And again, this is no bias aside. I don't believe that the Yankees are a bad team. But when we are talking about contenders, a true contender, and I know they're opening up the year second best odds to win the World Series. That's great. But it really doesn't mean much to me because I'm not looking at Vegas odds. You're running it back with weak points in this team. The outfield is a question mark. Is Dominguez going to take the next step? Because listen, if someone like Spencer Jones comes up and Dominguez is finally ready, then then things start to change. This is just my February opinion. Okay? A lot of people like to do that. They like to quote tweet, go back on Twitter, all you said, and not to me specifically, just to people in general, the whole sportscasting world. You said in January Yankees had no shot, blah, blah. Well, at the time, that's what they thought. It's January. They didn't see him play. It's baseball, too. Just like any sport. You have guys that come in and you never heard of them. And here we are. Well, I'm sure when the Knicks signed Jalen Brunson, no one thought that this is what he would amount to. Maybe some did, but most didn't. And if you deny that, you're lying. Because the initial reaction was, well, Jalen Brunson gave a bag to Jalen, back up to Luka. He's good, but man, look at him now. So you never know. So, do I think the Yankees are contenders right this second to win a championship? I don't personally. And I have my reasons. It's not just because I'm not a Yankee fan, or I know a lot of Yankee fans that piss me off and I argue with them all day and I fucking hate the Yankees. That's not it. I swear, I promise you that's not it. Because when I'm going to talk about the Mets in a couple of minutes, I'm going to be saying a little bit more of the same. I think that in order to beat the Dodgers, you can't do anything. They're unbeatable. I mean, let's call a spade here. They are literally unbeatable. I'd be shocked if they don't win a third year in a row. I'd be shocked if the Yankees can beat them in a 7-game series. I'd be shocked if the Mets can. The Mets had a completely different offseason from the Yankees. They revamped totally. Their Nemo's gone. I've talked about this a million times this year. Called up with some of you guys, talked about it. So it's not like I'm saying anything new. We all know what additions they have. We all know who left, and if you didn't, that's on you. Pay attention. What are you doing? Look it up or something. A lot's changed here. Come on. But in all seriousness, the Mets are probably the biggest question mark in the league, to be quite honest with you. They could either mesh so well and Stearns can look like a genius, or they could fail so miserably and they become the laughingstock once again. Do I want that to happen? Obviously not. Do I think that's going to happen? Probably not. It could even fall in between, in the middle of what I was saying. Like, they could be an 85, 86, 87 win team and sneak into the wild card. I could see that as a possibility. I could see them not making the playoffs. That's definitely a possibility. I could see them making a deep playoff run. Also a possibility. A lot of question marks. Will Sanga be back to form? Will he be healthy? Will Nolan McLean be able to recapture that success he had last season? Not super likely. I think a lot of Met fans are going a little bit too over the top with that. And I think he's awesome and his stuff is electric. But scouting reports are out on this guy. Don't chase. Let's see if it's that easy for teams, but it's just kind of that simple. Just don't chase. His stuff moves a lot. Doesn't end up in the strike zone a lot. I'm not saying I think he's going to be bad, but I just don't see him having, a Cy Young year. Hope I'm wrong. But, he had 9 starts last year. So let's pump the brakes a little bit. Let's see him play. So Mets are kind of in that same category with the Yankees. I don't think one is really too much ahead of the other. I know it's really not a competition. You're all playing for the ultimate prize of a World Series trophy. And that's pretty much it for our Mets and Yankees preview. Both teams kind of in the same boat they were last year. Mets could be worse, could be better. Yankees probably will be exactly the same. It's just will they be able to make that deep run in the playoffs with adding Cole and maybe having a good trade deadline this year, depending on where they're at. So it kind of went live at a bad time here, 2:30. Bunch of you guys still in work. Understandable. So maybe we'll end here, and maybe we'll come back later tonight around 7 when everyone's out and ate dinner and wants to call up and comment and talk. So we can back and forth a little bit more. I could save some ideas and what I wanted to talk about for a little bit later rather than going on a tangent here now with no one in here. So, yeah, we'll do that. So thank you guys for watching if you're watching in the future. And we will catch you again today, February 9th at 7 o'clock. So thank you guys.